Welcome to the coolest ugly car you've ever seen. Hey, welcome back to the channel. So, guess I got a bit of explaining to do. This is my 99 EK Civic, EJ Civic technically, sorry. It's not an EK technically, it's an EJ if you're a Honda person. It's ridiculous, it's absurd and it's ugly and it's absolutely awesome and I love it. So, it's what we would call, or what I would have called, when I was younger, I guess a survivor of the max power era. Now, if you're 25 and younger, you'd have no idea what I'm talking about, but Max Power was an English magazine. There was a couple of them. There was Max Power, there was Redline, there was Fast Car. Then there was an Irish one that was called Flush Bus, that turned into Slick magazine, if I remember right. But the Max Power was the biggest of them all, and that kind of started the culture of it, I guess. It ran from probably mid to late 90s till early 2000s, and then that kind of style died and drifting took over, but this kind of style is starting to come back. And this Civic is a survivor of that kind of era, I guess. Now, the Max Power era entailed pretty much everything you see there, like ridiculous as you could make it, whether that was absurd audio systems, whether it was wild leery paint, enormous wheels like 18s, 19s, 20s, which when you think about it at the time, 25 odd years ago, a massive set of wheels like that, let alone a set of chrome ones like that were thousands upon thousands upon thousands of euros to buy. And nobody really did it, or at least very, very rare. And it wouldn't have been completely extreme, but someone somewhere at some point built this. So it's, as I said, it's an, yeah, that Lambo door doesn't really work properly. That'll be something that we'll put on the list for down the line. But aside from that, let me close this one so you can get a better look at the side profile of the car, and we'll talk about it. So now, just before I go ahead with it, if by some miracle you watching this happen to be a previous owner of this car, or you know someone that was a previous owner, or even the person that built it, or know any history of it at all, please get at me on Instagram or put a comment below or something like that. I'd love to learn more about it. I've been in touch with obviously the guy that I bought it from, and I've been in touch with the guy that he bought it from, and I've been in touch with a guy that just takes photos at events and stuff. He had photos of it from years ago, but I had no idea who built it or when it was built or anything like that. But judging by the styling, I've got to say 2006, 7, 8 maybe. So in regards to the styling, I don't know for definite yet, but from what I've researched and from stuff I remember from back in the day, that was either a Wings West or a Fields wide body kit. You can see the wide body wings and quarter panels on it there. Now, if I remember right, the Wings West one was a lot more rounded, and the Fields one was a lot chunkier. Fields is a company out of Japan that made a lot of that type of stuff back in the day. And that's also the same spoiler that I'll put a photo up here of the demo car that they had a couple of years ago. You might remember it. But theirs had the blade across the top of the wing. Now, maybe at some point this did have it, because it's kind of, you can kind of see the shape of where the blade used to be, like somebody filled that in. But any old previous pictures I've seen of this, it didn't have that in it. So whether it's a genuine kit or not, I don't know. Back in the day, there was companies making fiberglass replicas of everything, all sorts of stuff. So maybe it's a genuine Fields kit and a genuine Fields wing, I don't know. The bonnet, I can't decide if it's incredibly cool or incredibly ugly. But from what I've researched, it was, I don't know a brand or anything or where they were made or anything like that, but it's what was known as a Black Widow bonnet. And it is indeed functional. There's not just two holes there just for looking in. There is the opposite end hole up there on the underneath of the bonnet. Maybe it's a genuine piece, I don't know. It's crazy heavy, so who knows if it's genuine or not. The front bumper, if you were to Google Veilside EK Civic or EG Civic, that is a Veilside bumper. Again, whether it's genuine or not, I don't know. I'll try and get it up on the lift in this episode and see if I can see any stampings or stickers or something. But I mean, if this car has been built for almost 20 years, then I doubt there's any kind of evidence left of that. Obviously, probably the most eye-catching thing about it is the Lambo doors. Now, this one works perfect. It's absolutely fine. You can it's just gotten really rough looking. The driver's side door doesn't stay up for very long, but I guess that would make sense because it would have gotten more use up and down, people getting in and out of it. But the interior is ridiculous. Like every single thing that could be painted blue pretty much has been painted blue. Even the center of the steering wheel, like, it's absolutely absurd. But then oddly enough, nothing done with the back seat, so we'll have to remedy that. But it's absolutely absurd. It really, really is. The Lexus, or what was called the Lexus style lights back in the day, a nice cool little set of those, which again are rare enough nowadays. You don't really find this kind of stuff for sale, let alone see it on the road on a car, you know. So the car itself, as you saw in the clips, it's a 99 EJ4. I didn't actually look. We'll check that in a minute. But it's a D series 1.4. It's not running great, but it's not running bad. It has the usual idle surge and that kind of up and down sort of idle and high idle that a lot of the D series Civics, a lot of the 90s Hondas suffer with. So that's either going to be a vacuum leak or idle air control valve needs cleaning or replacing or something like that. I don't think it'll be a massive deal to get that issue fixed. The guy I bought it from, he said he had it for at least 3 or 4 years and didn't really do anything with it. All I know that he did, unfortunately, is plasti dip it black. Now it was, I'll stick a photo in here as well, where you can see it was that lovely blue. The car is originally green, but at some point whoever built it resprayed the whole thing that beautiful blue, which I think is Atlantic Blue Pearl, the same colour as my wagon that you would have seen on the channel that was sold last year. And the guy that I bought it from, I had seen photos from like his old TikTok page when he bought it and a couple of Facebook groups that he had put it in, that it was indeed just perfect blue. And when I bought it from him, I asked him why did he plasti dip it, and he said the paint was in great shape underneath. So I can only assume that at some point he must have wanted to paint it, because none of that was like that in the old previous videos I saw. Loads of this primer on it for some reason. As you can see, I've obviously been getting a little bit of that plastic dip off, which I thought would be a bit easier. It's just going to be time consuming because there's so much of it, obviously. But for whatever reason, I guess he was going to paint it and either ran out of time, money, skill, I have no idea. But it's not a big issue. I mean, we've painted stuff before on the channel, so I'm not particularly worried about it. A few other issues with the car. You can see it's sitting, now obviously it's sitting on crappy factory steelies that are quite frankly damn near flat. But also he mentioned that the springs were broken on the shocks, so I'm not surprised it's sitting like that. But I might have a free solution for that, hopefully, so fingers crossed, but we'll worry about that in the future. We won't get to that stage for quite a while, I think. Also, the brakes are not stuck, but they're, you know, they're pretty well stuck. It's been sitting for a long time, so the fuel that's in it is probably damn near water. It will need, to be totally honest, it probably need everything underneath, every control arm, bushing, shocks and springs, brakes. It'll need a birthday underneath. It'll need damn near everything, I think. So, and of course, who knows what it's like underneath rust wise. Now again, the guy I bought it from, on his ad, it said no major rust underneath, but sure, it's easy to say that could mean anything. But again, you know, we've welded fairly rusty cars before, so I think the most important thing, well actually, to be honest with you, the most important thing to me right now is to get rid of all this dirty black plastic dip. It's coming, but it's just going to take, as I said, it's going to be pretty time consuming, and see what condition the rest of the paint is, because realistically that will dictate whether I paint it blue again or some other mad colour. I haven't really decided. I have a few ideas in my head, but there's no point really. That'll be quite a ways down the line. So I guess the most important thing aside from that is to get a look and see what it's like underneath and solve the running issue. So I think what we're going to do is get the Polo out of the way. We'll move the Civic outside, we'll get the Polo outside, and then hopefully will we be able to clear the lift? Ah yeah, we should be okay. So yeah, let's move this out of the way, let's move the Polo out of the way, and see what horrors may await under this thing. Okay, so it's, I can use the term safely very loosely, up in the air. It was a bit of a pain. I ended up having to push the car back, push the front up onto these. I put 60 psi into the tyres just to get it up a little bit more, and then I had to jack it up from the back to get in underneath there. So not the most awkward thing in the world, but you know, it's still a bit of a pain in the hole. So I think I'm probably going to end up leaving it set up on the lift long term, or at least until the owner, because I was going to start with the paint stuff first, getting rid of the plastic dip, but I think we might just do underside restoration while it's already on the lift and go from there. But anyway, as always, like I said with the Beetle, and like I said with the Stream, we're going underneath this together. I haven't looked under here yet already or anything, so let's start at the back where it's more than likely going to be wrecked. Actually, let's get a light. Okay, here we go. Take a deep breath now, guys, because this could make or break. There's no way we've been lucky with Hondas so far. Okay. Very, very surface. Jesus, look at the size of the hanger for the exhaust. Oh my God, look at it. Look at the size of it. I guess it makes sense considering the weight of that thing, but we'll figure that out. Okay, again, is that old underseal? It is, yeah. That mightn't be that bad. Jesus. Can I see up under there? Not really, but like... Okay, so everything is really surface rusty. Let me zoom you out a bit more. It might be... there we go. Everything's quite surface rusty, but I mean, I'm going to change that entire arm. You know, which I'll change this arm. We'll change that bushing. So we'll be changing a lot of that stuff, so that'll all be replaced. And is that a piece of wood? That's a piece of... Oh my God. Is there a piece of wood this side? No. So why is there a piece of wood on one side and not on the other? I wonder if that's OEM wood. It must be. But look, up here is fine. Where you'd expect it to be kind of rotten. The jacking point there is fine. All up here. I mean, there's no holes in it. How well is it cleaned down, I guess now would be another thing. But like, the floor is fine. There's no holes in the floor or anything like that. Or what are we like up here? Okay, we're kind of crusty there, but again, like, that's to be expected, I suppose. All of this, all them control arms, that'll all get replaced. I'm just going to replace the entire arm. Maybe even put, like, the drive shaft looks rough. Maybe even put all that kind of stuff in it. Wow. I'm very pleased with the, what do we like under? Yeah, that's not bad either. Damn, this thing's not that bad, you know. What are we like under here, underneath these factory side skirts? I can't really see. We'll go poking at it. Yeah, that's more likely going to have a hole in it right there, where I'm pointing my finger. But overall, doesn't look that bad. Doesn't look that bad at all. Yeah, look in there. Okay. Wow. I'm very surprised now. How easy the likes of them bolts will come out now is another thing, I suppose. But I mean, look, if you had to, you just cut the fucking thing out too, wouldn't you? Like, look up there beside the fuel tank, like up here and all that. That all looks pretty good. So if all of that was cleaned down and undersealed like we did on the wagon before, and like I should do on the stream, mightn't be that bad. I heard from a lot of people, again, I've never had a Civic before. So I had a Civic Saloon, but it's not the same as this, you know. But like, apparently these get really rusty and fall apart. That looks pretty good. I get, like, when I say good, I mean it's not cracked and falling apart, but maybe it is if I was to take a wire wheel to it. I don't know, but wow, I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised. Maybe someone did look after this thing. Okay. Now let's see. I forgot to look there about the broken springs. Oh yeah, look, it's broken there. That's why I'm not surprised there. That makes perfect sense. But again, control arm be replaced. Shocks will be replaced. Shock forks all get cleaned up. Probably just replace the calipers as well. Do ball joints, to all that whole arm there, all that kind of stuff. Is this... Oh, Jesus, look at the spring on that. Can you see it up there? It looks like a sausage roll. Or a hot dog, I mean. Right. That ain't that bad. Considering how old it is and that it's been outside for a long time, I'm honestly pretty pleased. Pretty pleased. No holes in the floor up there or anything, and behind any of that stuff. It's quite an exhaust system that was built for it. Wow. Wow, indeed. Turn off that light. Okay, so with that in mind, obviously we're not going to get anything replaced in this episode, but I might pull the wheels off, get them out of the way. Like I said, I think we'll leave the car on the lift long term. For what is that? Is that full of, it is, that's full of expanding foam. Why is that full of expanding foam? Christ. Fair enough. Full of expanding foam. I guess they had their reasons, I suppose. Okay. Oh, look at the fangs on the bumper. For God's sake. Oh yeah, let's look and see if there's any identifying... Oh, if there was, it'll be behind all of that, wouldn't it? Okay. Right, forget about that for the time being. But look, that kind of dictates which steps we're going to take first, I suppose, which I think is going to be the whole underside. Control arms and coilovers and suspension and all the bushings and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to start researching all of that stuff. Shouldn't be anything too crazy, I think, like financially. So I guess where I go from here, other than that, like other than starting at the underside as opposed to paint stuff, I think there's a couple of options now. The coilovers that are in, or the shocks and springs that are in it, as you've seen, springs are snapped. I did look at the back, but they're probably wrecked as well. Now, if I remember right, I'll have to double check, but as far as I know, the chassis in those, like on the suspension and all that, and in the older Accords is essentially the same thing, because, excuse me, the bag setup that I bought for the Accord listed EK Civics as well. So technically, if the shock from that would fit that, then the coilovers that I used to have in the Accord would go into the Civic with the Civic top mounts. So that would be free coilovers, because I have... Now, granted, they're old, 4 or 5 years old, a set of Max Speeding rods that I could just put into it. Unless, by some miracle, someone from Max Speeding Rods sees this and wants to send me a set for a Civic, I'd gladly take them and be sponsored by you, no problems. But that could be a free coilover solution, at least for the time being. Will I bag the car down the line? Maybe. Who knows? But for now, I was about to say I'm going to leave this episode here, but I'm not. I think what I'll do is we'll pull out one shock. We'll pull out this one here, the one that's very badly broken. We'll lock the car down, pull off the top mounts, we'll pull out that shock, and we'll see. And if it looks like the Accord coilovers will fit with the Civic top mounts, then at the very least in the front we throw them in. It'll be easier to get it up on the lift. So let's do that. Hang on a second now, let's pause that music so we don't get copyrighted. Okay, so I couldn't find the coilovers off the Accord. I have no idea where I put them. I thought they were in the small shed with all my spare stuff. They're not. So I ran into the house and got 2 of the spare air shocks that I have. So technically this shock fork should fit on that, and then that top mount would go on that. Therefore it'd be the same as the coilover system. Pissed off I don't know where the coilover is, but look, either way probably should have given that a clean, but let's just make sure. Yeah, look, perfecto. That'll be fine. That'll go on there. That'll be easy. And then this top mount, let's just zip that off for fun. Alright, we won't get away with it that way. Okay, as you saw, I was hoping it'd just pop off there with the impact, but it didn't, so it was somewhat seized, so I ended up just having to cut it off. But the good news is, where did I put the top mount? It's over here. So as I said, we know the shock fork fits there, and as you can see, the Civic top mount will go on perfectly fine, just as they did in the Accord, the exact same. So with that in mind, that means not only can I bag the car at some point if I wanted to, because I've 6 spare air shocks, I have a compressor somewhere, I would just need a tank and management, I would just get cheap in management, I wouldn't spend big money on airless stuff again, but I could bag the car at some point. But it also means that the coilovers, which I still can't find, I don't know where I put them. I have one more place I can check. If I find them, we'll continue with the video. If not, the video is going to end here. But on a good note, it also means, anyway, that the coilovers from the lowrider will indeed fit the Civic. So free coilovers, saves myself, well, whatever the custom max speed ones are now, 350, something like that. But one more thing we need to check is if the width from there to there on the Civic is the same. Now on the Accord, I had to weld a bit of plate on either side of that to kind of close up the gap. So I probably will have to do the same thing here. Now I don't know if you guys can see it. Yeah. Okay. You can see how the air shock is wider than the factory shock. I don't remember what exactly way the coilovers were. I'm really going to have to find those to answer all these questions. But again, it should mean the coilover should fit absolutely fine. Oh, look how badly broken that spring is. Can you see? Look at that. Properly snapped. Anyway, so I think I'm gonna leave this video here. We've got enough going on. Or will I? Okay, I found the coilovers. They were in that last place I suspected. So can you see what I'm looking at? Yeah, you can. Cool. Okay, so I already checked the shock fork. It does indeed fit there. Now, these have been sitting around and unused for a long time. So rather than do all of these today, this episode, we're going to keep that for a separate episode, because I want to strip them down, clean them up, just make sure they're all still free and, you know, no leaks and any of that stuff. It seems fine. But what I did discover is, oh, that's the wrong one. Where's the old shock? There it is. So what you will notice, oh, there goes a bit of broken spring. What you will notice is the width of the actual shock, the shaft of it, or at least the top part, at least anyway, fits over there, no problem. It's designed to be there, that's fine. This has a thicker shaft, she said. So therefore, that shaft doesn't fit through here. So I could probably knock out this sleeve and see how it fits, which I'm sure it probably will fit. Knock that out of place for a minute. Whether that should be in it or not, I don't know, but for something like this that's not going to be getting driven every single day, I don't think it's a big deal. So would that go in there? Yeah, that would indeed fit. The other option, which I think is probably what I'm actually going to do, is the top plate is aluminium, bolts are steel. There's only 2 bolts in the OE Civic one, there's 3 in the Accord. So what I think I'll probably do is just measure the distance, say from that bolt to over here, and just drill either knock the 3 of these out or cut them out or whatever and drill 2 new holes, you know, like straight across, or use an existing hole and drill 1. I'm not really sure yet. I suppose it makes no real difference what way I do it, I guess, but I don't know, there's options, I suppose. There's no point in spending 300, 400, 500 euros on coilovers when I have these, and may as well make use of them because they fit in every other aspect. Oh, one thing I will have to do, I'll have to get it off the original shock. Oh, there doesn't appear to be one there. I thought I might have to make a brake pipe bracket, but maybe I don't. I'll need to check that. But look, for this, let me get you out of there. Yeah, so for this episode, I think we're done. I'm glad the car is in good shape. Oh, the brake pipe bolts onto the, what's his name? Onto the spindle or knuckle, whatever you want to call it, onto the hub. Okay, cool. So yeah, for this episode, I think that's it. We're going to leave it at that. Thanks for watching. I really hope that some of you enjoy this. I know the look of the car and the style of the car is really not to everybody's taste, but I think the people that were into that kind of stuff like 20 years ago, like when I was, I think would be super hyped on it. So thanks for watching. Follow me on Instagram. I'll be doing a little bit of some smaller jobs that aren't really YouTube video worthy. They'll be going on Instagram there. Rise Car Club on TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff as well. You know, subscribe, share the video, blah blah blah, all that usual stuff that people ask you to do at the end of videos. And I'll be back hopefully pretty soon with a fully coilovered max power style Civic. Peace.